everybody, so tonight I was messing around on my computer and I came across a video that I have not actually edited and put up yet. It was a tag video that I made in May, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it up tonight. But I thought I would make this disclaimer here so that, you know, there's no confusion. I also wanted to say I have emailed 4 people who won my Jane Austen giveaways for July. I have heard back from 1 of you. So Olivia, Candy, and Angie, if you guys are watching this, check your email and check your spam. If I don't hear back from you guys in a couple of days, I'm gonna need to pick new winners, but I really hate to do that, so check your spam, girls. All right, enjoy the tag video. Hey everybody, I am making another tag video trying to get caught up on all of these tags. I love to be tagged, so don't be afraid to tag me, but hopefully I can get these caught up and then I'll do your tags a little bit faster than I have been. Tonight I'm doing the tag called Oh, the Places You Will Go. This was created by Gareth at Books, Songs, and Other Magic. I was tagged by Daniela at Uncommon Reader, as well as Debs from Rainer Read Stuff, 2 of my favorite booktubers. I watch all the stuff they put out. So if you're not familiar with Daniela, she lives in Italy and talks about all kinds of books that I've never heard of. And then Debs lives in England and she talks about all kinds of books that I've heard of but have not yet read. So make sure and check out their channels if you are interested in finding some new good booktubers. So I'm gonna try and get this tag done. I am racing against both the thunder and possible rain and the moon. So the sun is going down and the thunder has been starting up, and so we'll see if I can get this tag done before I gotta go in. All right, so this is what Gareth said about this tag. He says this is a special tag with some personal questions and some bookish questions to answer for the prompts. I'm celebrating an upcoming year that features lots of travel and bringing in the genius of Dr Seuss to do it. For each of the quotes from the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, there's a bookish prompt and a life prompt. If you'd like to do this tag, I would love to see you do both prompts for these quotes. Either way, I hope you will enjoy it. All right, so number 1, the quote is, which direction you choose. Book prompt, what's the first place you go to in a bookstore? Usually, okay, it depends on what kind of bookstore I'm in. So if I'm in a new bookstore like Barnes & Noble, then I'm usually there looking for something specific. So I will go specifically to that aisle. I usually only go to the history section and the general fiction / classics section and the magazine and catalog section because I like to buy art magazines there as well. I don't usually browse a whole lot in Barnes & Noble just because I'm in there a lot and it's like our only new bookstore. So I'm just in there so much that it takes a while until there's a big turnover, right? To get new stuff out. But if I'm in a used bookstore, I literally make the rounds, front door, go to the left, make the rounds through every aisle, go to the rooms, all around. I go every place and I literally just make sure that I don't miss anything. I will skip certain, genres that I'm not interested in, but I really try to make the rounds of the whole store, right? But in my favorite used bookstore locally, the classics are right in the door on the left, so that makes it perfect. I can just go right there. Then it goes into literary fiction, which is, usually what I'm looking for when I'm looking for fiction. And then after that, you can take a left and go into this nonfiction room, and it's a whole room full of just nonfiction, and so I really love to hang out there. But the other, general fiction, not so much. Inspirational fiction is usually stuff from the 90s and early 2000s and a whole lot of Amish fiction, and I'm not usually interested in that section too much, but I might browse it. There's a massive kids room. I don't normally go in there. But anyway, yeah, it's usually the classics or beeline to what I'm specifically looking for. The life prompt is, what is the biggest life decision you've made that has impacted your life? So the obvious ones salvation, marriage, kids, those are obvious. I think that taking my first trip to England is probably a turning point for me that has really steered the focus of the rest of my life. So I first went in 2013. And before that, I had not been 500 miles from my home at all. I had never been on an airplane. I was 33. I had never been on an airplane. I had never gone anywhere. I really wasn't even all that interested in England. I had never really read any classic literature. I was not familiar with Jane Austen and the Brontes, and this is so weird. I was telling my daughter about this the other day. She's like, I can't even imagine you like that. But that's the whole point, right? I went because I was on this chat group with a bunch of moms of big families. I have 9 children. At the time I had 6 or 7, I can't remember. And there was the kind of like the queen mom on there who at the time had like 9 or 10. Anyway, on there, she was putting together a tour of England, and everybody was talking about it. And I just got this weird, like, it just sort of dawned on me, like, oh, I can do that stuff? Like, I can do that? Like, I can leave my house and leave my kids and go do that? It was just like a really big surprise to me, right? And so I did. I booked the trip. I had my husband take me to the airport in Portland, which was like 3 or 4 hours away. And I just got on the plane and I just went to England. And then I joined this friend in her tour group, and I toured and did the whole Jane Austen tour and London and all kinds of things. And when I came home, like, I was a significantly different person because I had just kind of had my eyes open to, there is such a wealth of everything out there that I just wasn't even aware of. And I lived in little towns in Eastern Oregon and all my life, and totally nothing wrong with that. I know people who are still living in towns in Eastern Oregon all their life and have never gone anywhere really significant, and totally fine. But I think I didn't realize that I could. And then when I did, I was just like, I don't know, like, I had gone and toured the Roman baths, right? I had stepped in a place that was so old, like older than anything that I'd ever stepped in here in America. And I had seen, these monuments and these, famous places, and just, it was so overwhelming. And so I came back and I just started reading. And then I went back in 2015, and then I went back in 2016, and then I went back in 2019, and then I went back in just this last spring, 2024. What year are we on? And I'm going back in just a couple of weeks. And like, it just kind of snowballed into this, I couldn't get enough of learning about England and the history and the kings and queens and all of the writers and all of the classics. And I started reading things that I didn't think I could read, and then I just did. And then I started understanding things, and I started writing about things, and it just snowballed, and it really changed the course of my life and who I ended up becoming. And now, among the people that know me, I'm synonymous with England. I'm synonymous with Jane Austen. I'm synonymous with classic reading and all these things, because everybody around me knows me as that person, and that person that's really into England and really into reading and really into classics, and and a researcher and an intelligent person and a well-read person and a whatever. And people are asking me to take them on a tour of England, and which I'm planning on doing actually next year, and all that stuff. And it just, like, that was just not on my radar at all before I took that trip in 2013. So super long answer, but that was a turning point right there. And I don't even know what I would be doing if I wouldn't have done that. Like, I don't even know, because I'm a new me. I'm a different me, for sure. All right, number 2, the line from the book is, "Too smart to go down any not so good street." The book prompt is, what did you used to read that you don't read anymore? Well, I like when I was a brand new adult, I read a lot of Christian fiction. Straight out of high school, I'd read a lot of Christian fiction and just like end time stuff and all that kind of stuff. And then somewhere in there about 6 or 7 years ago, I just totally shut it off. Like, I couldn't, it just seemed so preachy and just not believable to me. I really developed this aversion to it. So that's true. But in the last few weeks, actually, just so recently, I have decided to give it another chance because I was given a couple of books and I bought a couple of books because the covers were so pretty. So in the last few weeks, I have read Jamie Jo Wright and Gabrielle Meyer. I really like Connie Lynn Cossette. I've been reading her books for a few years now as my kind of exception to my rule. And so that is something that like I read just feverishly in my early years, and then in my early adult years, and then did it for quite a while, and then now I'm kind of dipping my toes in just to see. Also, I've just become more sensitive to certain things. Like, I'm very sensitive to profanity, and I mean, I can read violence and gore way over profanity. It does something in my spirit. It just bugs me. It just changes my mood and upsets me. And especially if it's in like a normally sort of like peaceful story, it's weird. It just pulls me out. It's really strange. I heard a girl yesterday that I was listening to, I can't remember who it was now, but she was talking about the book Piranesi and how it just seems so magical and like such a beautiful story. And I didn't really think it was magical and beautiful, but she really did. But what bugged her was the modern profanities in it. She's like, this does not belong here. And she's right? I felt that way too. And I think maybe that's why I didn't like it, because, you know, you're reading this, you know, just magical, you know, golden sort of a story, and then all of a sudden, like, the guy just sounds like, you know, anyway, he's cursing. And you're like, that doesn't fit. It pulls you out, right? So illicit scenes didn't really used to bother me, and they definitely do bother me in the last, a long time. They bother me for a long time. I used to read just gentle romance books like Jeanette Oke or Francine Rivers, and now I just don't really enjoy those so much anymore. But again, I think I'm sort of like jaded about life, and maybe I will enjoy those if I try to have a different perspective. We'll see. Okay, then the life prompt on that one is, what have you learned either as a hobby or in education that you value the most? Oh, there's probably a lot of stuff. One thing that just came to mind is that when we're dealing with people, when we're having, you know, conversation or whatever, especially when we're trying to work out a problem, we're trying to communicate well, we need to be aware of who we're talking to and how that person is going to receive what we're saying. I learned a lot about this when I had my ministry channel, because I would say something and to me it would sound perfectly fine and great and really uplifting and whatever, and then I would get, you know, the feedback and the comments, and I would realize, oh, not everybody took that the way I meant that to be taken. And, you know, and then just through that same ministry, I had, you know, in-person conversations and different things and different places, and found that, you know, if I don't really know sort of what this person has gone through and sort of how they see the world, what are their philosophies, then I can say something one way that they will take very much the wrong way. And so I guess just like being careful to, you know, speak slowly and being quick to listen, and to sort of just be careful about how I communicate things until I really know, you know, the person that I'm communicating with here. Don't make assumptions, make sure and ask questions, and just understand that not everybody is hearing what's coming out of my mouth in the way that I'm meaning for it to be heard, right? Does that make sense? All right, next quote. You'll be seeing great sights. The book prompt is, pick a book with an attractive cover. I'll put something here. The life prompt is, what is the most beautiful place that you have visited? I think the most beautiful place that I have been is Skagit County in Northwest Washington State. You've got the ocean on one side, you've got the mountains on another side. Every spring there is a tulip festival with acres, maybe miles of different colored tulips. Just driving around and just all of the beauty. There's so much green, there's so much life. There's a little place called Anacortes. We used to go out on this beach and find sea glass, and there's just like a little cove, a little inlet or whatever. And then when you can take this little walking trail deep into what seems like a rainforest, and it's just magical. I loved our time living there. I would do anything to go back there if we could. I loved it so much. It's just, it's like an hour north of Seattle and an hour south of the Canada border. I don't know. Fantastic. Gotta go back. Number 4, you'll be the best of the best. Book prompt is, what do you feel confident that you know a lot about with regard to books? I would say one thing that I'm really good at is pulling out symbolism. I've studied symbolism for a really long time. That's one of the things in high school that I really liked to sort of dig out, and write about in a lot of my papers, was the symbolism in stories and the allusions that authors are making to, history or people or other books or whatever. And so I think I'm really good at picking that stuff out. And that's why I think it's really important that we read, and that we read broadly, because the more we understand about the world and history, whatever, the more we're able to pick out of these books. I just today finished reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland for I don't know how many times I have read that, but I was just thinking about how much I was able to pick out from previous times that I've read it, just because of life experience, right? And understanding people, and understanding, the humor and just the stuff. I don't know, just picking out, understanding vocabulary, because it's a book full of wordplay. And so, you got to know words to understand wordplay. And so the more you read, the more words you know, right? That kind of thing. And so I just think that, I feel like I'm really good at sort of picking that stuff out. One of my kids' favorite classes that I have taught them is writing about art. And what we do is we just take art pieces and we pull out all the symbolism, and we it helps us understand the story of what's going on here. And so as I've gone into that and taught them, how to find out what symbolism means, when you see lilies, what is that referring to? When you see the color blue, what is that referring to? And all these different things, like, they love that class, and I love teaching it. So anyway, something I feel like I'm pretty good at that. The life prompt is, what would be your specialist subject on Mastermind? I don't know what Mastermind is. Hold on, let me Google. Okay, there is a Mastermind board game that was created in Israel. I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think it's a show. Mastermind is a British television quiz show for the BBC. 4 contestants face 2 rounds, one on a specialized subject of the contestant's choice. Oh. So it's kind of like on Trivial Pursuit, right? Where you always choose arts and literature. So yeah, I think my subject would be like, I don't know, Victorian age in America and in Britain. Maybe as early as the Georgian era and the Revolutionary War era, up until before World War I, like right before World War I. That little area of history is what I have read the most of, what I've studied the most of. Pretty sure it's what I've written about the most. On my travels, that seems to be kind of the era that I focus on, both in the US and in England. And I think that would probably be my speciality. Number 5, quote is, except when you don't. Book prompt, what kinds of books do you feel that you don't relate to? Okay, don't relate to. I don't relate to anything that has like a working woman, like a young girl who like works in the office all day and then goes out to drinks with friends and, has a social life. don't relate to anybody with a social life. I have not had a job since, I have not had like a, real job since I was like 22 probably. And I've spent the majority of my adult years in my home, homeschooling my kids, being a homemaker, writing, being a social influencer online, and just doing all kind of creative dorkiness. So anything that has to do with anything trendy whatsoever, I am so out of touch. I'm getting a little better though, because I do have adult daughters now and older teenage daughters. So some of the trends, like, I'm picking up on, but yeah, not so much really, actually, to be honest. And then also just like relationships, romances, like romance relationships. Just because, like, I fell in love with my husband when I was 16 years old, so I had a lot of boyfriends as a teenager, but, once I got with my husband our senior year of high school, I don't want to read that, for one thing. And secondly, dating in the 2020s, yeah, I can't relate. I think that every other life experience I've probably had to some degree. So I think I could relate with a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff I don't want to read, but I guess maybe topics of like oppression and abuse. I can't really relate to that either. But I can have empathy, right? But I just haven't experienced that. I've had a really cushy life. So so that's that. The life prompt is, what is something you've stopped doing or that you've given up on? I'm in the process. I'm in the process of trying to stop trying to control things that are outside of my realm of control and responsibility and influence. Having adult children has taught me that. My kids are great, but sometimes they make big and small life choices that I don't agree with, and I've never really been one to be like, please don't do that, please don't do that, please can you just, or you may not do that, or I let them do what they want to do, right? Like, if you're an adult, you live your life. But the internal stuff, the internal dialogue, the constant, deals with God, like, hey, if you'll just, be this way towards my kid, I promise I will, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think I've actually ever said those words, but just kind of that mentality in my head. There's some deer over there, and I'm like, I can't see them anymore. Just that mentality in my head, like, what do I got to do to turn this around? What can I do to turn this around? And just constantly dwelling and letting it emotionally affect me. I'm really trying to not do that anymore, right? Once my kids are adults, they're out of the house, like, they just got to do their thing, right? And especially right now, because right now I have 3 kids out of the house. I have 2 adult daughters living at home, but, doing their own thing and making their own decisions. They're making good decisions, but, still doing their own thing. And then I have 4 who are under 18 who I'm actually, like, responsible for their day-to-day stuff. And when I spend too much time focused on those adults and what they're doing that I can do nothing about, I am taking away, the emotional energy that I have for my 4 youngers. I'm taking away just the positivity and all the stuff that I want to be for them, because I'm too focused on, what my olders are doing that I can do nothing about. So I'm in the process of stopping that. But it's hard not to care, right? Of course, it's hard not to care, and it's hard not to worry and to be concerned and whatever, but I gotta let that go and just be a mom to these 4 and put the others in God's hands, right? Put them all in God's hands, really. All right, next quote says, The Waiting Place. Prompt is, name a book that you are excited to read that's on your TBR. the life prompt is, what in general are you looking forward to the most this year? And honestly, that's my trip. It's coming up in just a couple of weeks. I'm leaving on June 11th. So whatever that is, I guess that's like 3.5 weeks, but it's gonna go by fast. I'm really looking forward to that. My trip to England. I have not been by myself in England since 2016. And I just want that time. I just want to be able to just think and dream and imagine stuff. And I'm really hoping to get back into creative writing again, which I've not done in so long. And, you know, the Somerset and Hampshire, Wiltshire area is the most inspiring place that I can imagine. So I'm looking forward to just kind of getting back into some of the stuff that makes me who I am. All right, and then the last quote, balancing act. Talk about balancing your time between general life and putting out content on BookTube. So I'm in a pretty good routine just because I have actually been a YouTube content creator for about 10 years, but I retired my old channel a while ago and am now just doing this one. And so I feel like I'm on a pretty good, I'm pretty good at scheduling out, you know, my week and stuff. But I really am kind of trying to change up my content a little bit. I would like to do more vlog style, which I have not done so much of. I'm not super experienced, so my vlogs are kind of dorky. But I'm hoping to get better at them. And so I've been watching some other vloggy booktubers and YouTubers and sort of getting some ideas. And so I think that the balancing the time thing is going to really kind of, what's going to be the issue there is remembering to film other stuff, right? I'm really starting to get dark out here and there's like creepy stuff. I keep getting bit. I'm really good at these sit down talk to you sort of face-to-face videos, but doing the vlog style, I've kind of been practicing as I've gone on trips, gone out of town, or gone to certain places and just sort of videoing things that I think people might be interested in. And so I think it's just a matter of remembering to do that. And I have a couple of nights a week that I sit down and edit everything. My rhythm is pretty good, but I think now it's just a matter of filming content for the vlogs and telling myself, okay, this is cool. People are going to want to watch this. But you guys got to be honest with me, okay? If my vlogs are really obnoxious and dorky, I want you to tell me. Tell me how to improve them. So anyway, yeah, I want to get good at that. It is starting to get dark and has not rained on me yet, so yay, I won. Hope everybody is having a great day. I will see you soon.